Hello, 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 StarCraft fans, and welcome back to another round of 8 here in the BSL19. What a day we have, Zun. How you doing? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm more than ready. I've been super psyched for this matchup. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Mihu and Dewalt, what more do you want?
Yeah, I mean, the championship caliber games right here, right? Like we've seen these two meet up in the championship multiple times in the final, and now they're matched up in the round of 8. So we're going to have a clash of Titans for sure again today, right here in the first set.
And then right after that, we've then got Dandy going up against bo5, so potential for some PvT, TvT shenanigans coming up in the future as well. Would like to see a PvP between Dewalt and bo5. That could get a little bit crazy.
Yeah, we had bo5, I think, last season. The first series takes out Dewalt, and then all of a sudden Dewalt turns around and takes him out. So, you know, those two have played so many games together. They have so much experience against each other. They can definitely go either way. But this first matchup for me is going to be crazy. I mean, I've been seeing Dewalt stream a lot more lately. He's been playing a lot. You know, Mihu's been playing a lot, I'm sure. You know, all the different Chinese events that are happening. He has those crazy timings, whether it's a 4-fac into 5-fac, whatever he wants. He's got crazy sharp timings, crazy macro. But I think most impressively is his fighting ability. When he fights TvP, it is crazy how he wins some of the fights with the units that he does.
He does seem to have a bit of confidence in that matchup, and we can kind of see that from the style of Terran. He somewhat revolutionized once upon a time with that Mihu style, going heavily into, you know, units rather than upgrades, and trying to like change the way of approaching Terran so that you can just take your third with way more units than usual. And we see that reflected in the 4 and 5 factory style. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm a little bit concerned for Dewalt. Mihu's an absolute powerhouse, but if anyone's going to dismantle Mihu, it's going to be players like Dewalt. He is an absolute hard-working machine. He can keep up with the caliber of the pro gamers in terms of their work ethic. And yeah, he's got talent to boot as well. Like, look at that win record, 70+% in all 3 matchups, and a little bit of specialization in that Terran matchup as well.
Yeah, I look at the Mihu side, and you talk about scary. 92% win rate versus Zerg, 83% win versus Terran, and 85 versus Protoss. And you got to know, he's always in the router 16 or better. So he's always playing guys like Dewalt, bo5, and he has that high of a win rate. I mean, I look down, total records, champion, third. But then I look across, I see some more champions and seconds. These guys have been in the finals 1-2 almost every season since season 13. I mean, it's insane.
And most recently, Dewalt coming out on top. We see, you know, at the 3rd place spot in season 18 for Mihu and that champion spot for Dewalt. And, you know, both players are going to be hungry for another belt. And looking at the statistics, you have to say both of them are almost equal contenders, maybe a tiny sliver of an edge to Mihu. But yeah, I can see both of these guys winning here.
Yeah, we see that our first map here is going to be Dominator. That was Dewalt's pick. He chose first. Seems to be a pretty favorable PvT map, even through the SSL. And I think that's Dewalt's just going to sit there and want to play maybe that dropship style. I am not a fan of, but he plays it really well. He does what he has to do to get those wins. I think there's a lot of possible build orders. We saw some craziness in the Korean scene with this map and some different proxies and you know, all-ins. I don't know if Dewalt will go for that first, but it's not beyond him, right? Like, he's a guy who can play any build, anytime, anyway. So we'll see what he decides to mix in.
Yeah, I mean, Light himself would find a lot of success with those sort of vulture drop styles. I mean, it wouldn't be too surprising to see something like that here. I mean, I'm thinking we might see a little bit of shenanigans out of Mihu, but also just straight up standard play, maybe just a strong mid-rangey style, get a lot of factories going in that mid game. Might just be enough to deal with Dewalt. Who knows? But I have a little bit of hope. I have a hope and a prayer that Dewalt is going to come more than prepared today, and we're going to see an absolute clash of a series and potentially going all the way to a tiebreaker.
Yeah, I could see this going, 3-2 for sure. I think whoever really just steps up and plays their game the sharpest will get it done.
Yeah.
I mean, these two guys are both playing in the 2500 MMR range. They are Mihu's playing against professional Korean players to walk against those practice games as well.
Yep.
So these two are going to be tip-top shape and ready to go.
I mean, Dewalt is just like, a few stepping stones away for almost starting to look like he could qualify for SSL. He's not too far off the mark. And same with Mihu. He's looking like he's, just on that cusp, on that the beachhead, trying to see if he can make it. And who knows, once upon a time, we might finally get our wish and see some of these foreigner players back in the big events once, like we did all the way back in WCG times, where we're rooting for our national players that could somewhat compete with the Koreans back then. But we might get that wish again. We might see a non-Korean in the SSL in the future. Who knows?
Well, if there is a candidate, it is definitely these two guys on top of the list that have their resume together. So I'm excited to see what they both produce here. They're both going to be on top of the meta. They're both going to be playing really sharp games. That they're going to put out their best. So I'm excited to see what they do.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think it's going to be too much longer of a wait. I think they've just about finishing up, doing some testing, figuring out, getting the right consistent ping. So very important to have a nice latency to play with. You don't want to spoil a potential amazing series, with a few jittery lags, and you could dial it in a little bit better with the turn rate.
Absolutely. We want to put out the best turn rate so these guys can really control their units, really get after it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, no matter what, this is going to be an exciting match. And our players are ready for game number 1. Let's get into this massive series. Map 1 Dominator. Here we go.
Let's get it.
All right. In the mid right for game number 1, it is Mihu. And in the bottom left, we have Dewalt. Alrighty.
I'm sure like one or two people are triggered in the chat right now. I know like one or two guys don't like the zoom-ins from Zero. I mean, but I'm sure there's at least equally the same amount of people that like it. So, I mean, what are you going to do, Let's just deal with it.
That's okay. It's, standard here to see that now. It's still the excitement.
Yeah,
all right,
I like it.
Watching, I like it as well. All right, so I've been noticing Dewalt, especially in his last PBTs. I casted some of his BSL games and watching him stream. He's been going for this delayed gas into a 19 Nexus. That seems to be his preferred style. So you'll see instead of getting his gas on 11, he'll get it on like 12, and he banks up some mineral. That's why he can mine and get that 19 Nexus so he can really get flowing. The question is going to be, how does that match up versus something like a gasless that I expect probably Mihu is going to go for?
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. I was wondering, are we going to see just like straight up gasless to be safe and be greedy, or are we going to see maybe even a 14cc? I doubt we'll see the 14cc. Much more likely to see that kind of bunker expand style. And there is a chance of getting gas stolen on these 3-player maps as well. It's very unlikely that they send out the probe super early, but I guess it sometimes happens and you get the coin flip. What gas?
Yeah, oh, he took a gas. Okay, so we're not going to have gasless here. Mihu going to play more standard. That looked like just a 12 gas. Yep. Very standard play, playing straightforward.
Yeah,
he just wants to get into a game, man. I think maybe he watched the John Hoon series yesterday and said, let me just get into a very standard game.
He just wants to get to that mid-game state so he can let his experience shine. He maybe thinks of himself as a superior player ever so slightly and wants to play that more mid-range, safer way of playing.
Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. Getting into these series, just kind of finding your ground, getting ready to do what you got to do.
Yeah, it's a very respectable way to play, especially in these kind of like game one series, very important game situations. Definitely one of the most viable ways of playing. Kind of feel things out, get yourself dialed in, understand how well you're performing that day. Because obviously sometimes you have off days as well. You're not quite performing to your maximum capability. And if you can somehow find your ebb and flow and get into that flow state, you can then really go wild in those follow-up games.
All right, Zealot first here from Dewalt. If you notice, Dewalt said no probe out, so he's really putting that economy first play here with just not scouting, going to send the Zealot out, see what's going on. Fortunately, he is sending it the correct way. Oh, we'll see if he's going to go with range here or if he's just going to go into a straight Nexus. A lot of players, when they do the rangeless, when the SCV comes in, they'll put +1 air weapons and cancel it so that Terran doesn't know, because there is a timing with rangeless that Terran can do some work. Oh, okay, goodness, gets the first shot, second shot. That's a big deal.
Yeah. He catches the Marine. Okay, he gets the Marine. It's a pretty big deal. He might also isolate this other one. One more hit on this Marine on the southern flank as well. He can technically isolate that. Gets it on the diagonal angle as well.
There.
Yeah, really sharp angle. Really impressive stuff from Dewalt. 2 hit points left on this Zealot. Can you believe it, Raz?
That's amazing. It's going to be a real problem now for Mihu. He has no Marines. He's just making the Vulture, but here comes the Dragoon.
Yeah, pressuring the SCV on the bunker as well. But now, how do you deal with this Dragoon with just one? I guess he's got the 3 SCVs to repair. That's going to be able to buy enough time to get this bunker finished up. But this is not the game that Mihu was necessarily anticipating having to play. It's going a little bit awry for him already, losing some mining time just to deal with this body block to make sure the Zealot and Dragoon can't get into the main base. Does manage to get a bit of body block on there. Yeah, but these SCVs are dying one at a time. Might even get this other SCV.
He's just getting out. Wow, really well done from Dewalt there. Loses the hull damage, but no, not a big deal. The big issue here now for Mihu is how delayed his command center was compared to this Nexus. This Nexus is about to be finished, and he is only about 50%, not even, of his command center. Really well done from Dewalt. First blood definitely drawn by him.
We were saying yesterday just how important that first 5 minutes of the game, and as we can see here, Dewalt going into that first 5 minutes with a nice little edge. Does want to be careful not to take too much hull damage onto that Dragoon. Just 12 hit points left. The Vulture could technically kill that if it was unguarded. Needs to be careful, make sure he keeps track of this Vulture and this weakened Dragoon at the third doesn't get isolated.
Love this from Dewalt. He knows how aggressive Mihu is, so we see him going into a 3-gate ob style. I'm assuming he's going to go 3-gate ob, secure his third at that 6:30 timing, and then go into a Reaver and play speed shuttle from there and harass.
I think he
really like Dewalt's game here.
Yeah, I think this is a great choice here from Dewalt, and usually Mihu's style would kind of soft counter that anyway, because he likes to go a little bit more unit heavy in that mid-game phase. But with taking this much damage early on, he will be a bit disrupted and won't just be able to like churn out the same kind of factory count he would like to usually.
Yeah, I think it looks like he wants the pressure anyway here. He just unloaded that bunker. He has 2 tanks, a Vulture, and 4 Marines. But like I said, Dewalt's on 3-gate production. If he just gets one more round out here and he has at least 6 Dragoons, I think that he will just crush this. But hopefully he's not cutting. Hopefully he sees that he needs these, and he's going to. This observer, he's going to catch these units coming in.
But with that early aggression from Dewalt, this strong FD is not quite as strong as it should be. So maybe there's just too few Marines to make this work. You usually would have a couple more Marines to help soak up some hits here. But now 5 Dragoons are ready. Mine's starting to be laid. Tries to target down one of the tanks. Mihu needs to be very careful. 2 more hits on that tank will take it out. This mine is not that effective from Mihu. Dewalt should be able to just in position here and eventually shut down at least one of these tanks. Ooh, this is huge for Dewalt.
Really good target fire. He's lost nothing. Picked off a tank, picking off these mines. I mean, it's going to set Mihu back a ton here, right? Like, he is not going to be able to move out later with all these tanks. Just added a second factory of machine shop. Dewalt has the observer in the base, so he knows exactly what's going on. He goes, 2 factories, no problem. I'll take a 3rd Nexus, drop my robotics facility, and I'm going to get after you.
Yeah, I mean, you could make the argument that this is a slightly slower Nexus, you know, just before the 7-minute mark. But honestly, with the relative game state, this is actually pretty early considering the damage Mihu's weathered early on. This is looking pretty solid for Dewalt. I'm getting a good feeling about this.
Yeah, we see Mihu, I was going to say, pulling SCVs. Because he went mines first like that, he doesn't have siege.
Right. Right.
Dewalt just crossing his T's, dotting his I's, not letting anyone get in here.
This is
really well
good.
done from him.
But I mean, I love to see the Mihu with the SCVs pulled, though. Even though you don't necessarily need to worry about defending, you always want to, like, you know, make sure that you don't cut any corners when you could just straight up die. It would be a very sad way to go 1-0 down in this series. I really respect players that don't cut corners like that.
Yeah, that's really well done. But I think Dewalt has full vision of what's going on here. He sees he took siege. He sees he's adding an armory. Yeah. So I don't think this is going to be as traditional of Mihu-esque. Oh no, he has added the 3rd and 4th factory, or at least the 3rd factory, looking to add the 4th.
But like I said earlier, I don't think he's going to be able to explode with that factory count just in the same way. So he'll be a little bit behind the curve of this game, and I really think that'll give just enough oxygen for Dewalt to start to explode.
The turret wants to shoot that observer so bad.
So bad.
It's not in range.
Yeah, it's just outside. It's like the hex range was just 1 away, so it's like just on the edge of it.
All right, so I'm expecting, because Dewalt's observer did see the 3rd and 4th factory, or at least the 3rd factory come down, to Dewalt to go to at least 6 gateways, plus his Reaver and his Citadel of Doom, get up speed, and just run over this first attack.
Yeah,
there we go.
He could go like Best style, right? I mean, Best is one thing that Best is so good at doing, is just cracking open these Terran positions with what would usually look like not enough units. But if you can get the Zealot bombs in the right location at the right time and synchronize your units going in and pull out just as the Zealots start drying up, so you reserve your Dragoon count after sniping tanks, you can get very cost-effective trades.
Yeah, we see me moving around with these Vultures again, but Dewalt just in. Oh!
Ooh!
Okay, one Vulture does get in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of damage here. I mean, he might only lose like 2 or 3 probes, but he's lost a little bit of mining time as well as 2 or 3 probes. It's something, and it's distracting Dewalt as well, buying a little bit of time. It's something. It also gives a little bit of a confidence boost here for Mihu to kind of feel a bit more okay about the game state.
Yeah, Shuttle takes some damage there, but no Goliaths from Mihu yet. Both ramping up their units. Dewalt on 5 gateways. I thought he'd want to go to more, considering he saw the 4 factories.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Mihu does need to be seriously careful about taking this 3rd. He might even want to use tanks from the main base right up against this wall once he does go for that. But luckily, Dewalt doesn't have like a crazy amount of units at the moment, so I don't think that he'll try and go for a bust attempt when he takes this mineral only. I think it'll take a little bit longer for Dewalt to establish himself. I think he was expecting a bit of a push from Mihu, and he wasn't expecting him. But now that he identifies that Mihu wants to play a little bit more reserved and push and take his 3rd at the same time, gives Dewalt a lot more time to build up.
Yeah, Dewalt may still go with the bust, at least to reset the tank count, because a lot of times this shuttle style, you want to be able to continue just to reset those units, always just sniping the observers.
Okay.
Dewalt seeing if he can get some drop in, noticing that there are mines here, so I don't know if it is going to be recommended to fly that shuttle in, but no. I think we are going to see a little bit of a bust here from Dewalt. I think he's ready at 8 gateways. He has a 2nd or 3rd shuttle already completed, so I think that he is going to look to try to reset the tank out, which is kind of what we said about the style when we were talking about it before. Is that when you play this style, you kind of have to continuously pressure and reset the Terran, because if you just go into the late game with shuttles and gateway, man, you can't survive. You just die.
No, you do have to reset the tank count at least a little bit. If you do let them build up to a crazy critical mass of tanks, and if they don't make any mistakes, you're kind of just screwed. And this is what we need to see. We need to see them like kill some of the turrets and open up this position so we can keep launching future drops in the main base as well. So even if this doesn't go too much further than just killing a few supply depots here, he does open up.
He's coming in
with the main base. Oh, he's got lots of Zealots dropping it while he's distracting me in the main base. So many tanks misfiring because of the Zealots streaming in. Quite a few Dragoons as well, getting on top of these siege tanks. Only a few remaining. This is pretty good for Dawid. He just needs to reduce the tank count here. That's the only thing that he really cares about.
I don't know if that was enough. I don't know if that was enough. And we're going to lose both Reavers here. Oh, just one Reaver. But I don't know if that was enough damage. Oh, for Dewalt in that trade. He did kill some tanks, but there are like 7-8 tanks left. I'm not sure that was worth it. And this is where this style gets a little bit tricky. First engage is not good. Now we have to try to make up. Oh, can we get a big shot? Oh, I thought we were getting a big shot on those SCVs.
No, the tank sieging up scared him away a little bit there. Didn't want to lose the Reaver without getting the shot off. I might try and like sneak around and get something, but I don't think he's going to find it. This is a real rough spot for Dewalt. He's getting a 4th base kind of on curve here, but it's not looking as comfortable anymore. Mihu has so much more room to breathe and spread his wings.
Yeah, we see that the supply has really closed. The gap was about 40. Now it's only about 10, 15. So Mihu looking to probably even take this base. I think he's going to slowly push there.
I like that Dewalt slowing that down to the pylon. I mean, at the very least, we'll slow that down by a minute or so. Now also trying to get some units up on top of this pizza slice to make it at least a little bit cost inefficient for Mihu to get down here and take this 4th that he's eyeing up right now. Trying to get some Zealot bombs as well onto these tanks, not yet being successful. That tank is very low, so is this one, so that definitely will die to the splash damage. Some of these other ones won't, but the vultures clean up in time.
And Dewalt just trying to get some value there out of the Zealots of the tanks. We see the macro of Mihu just kicking in here. I mean, he second robo on the way to play this dropship style, which is fantastic, but I don't think we reset the units enough, like I said before. I don't see AoE, I don't see any Templar yet. Dewalt's going to need some of that, because if Mihu can just get to 2-1 here in a couple minutes, and oh my goodness, Dewalt's just going for it again.
He's just going for it, trying to bulldog him with just pure infantry, fighting up onto this pizza slice. Is kind of wild, Raz. He doesn't want to use splash at all, besides a few Reaver Scarabs acting as utility, wiping out the majority of the tanks, though. Only just one siege tank by this minority. Does get taken out as well, but now just with a few units left over, has to finally retreat. It's not enough. Dewalt is like technically killing the siege tanks, but look at the supplies. It like kind of tells the story. Now Mihu's just going to start taking this other 4th base in the top right of the map. What can we do here for Dewalt? It's looking rather dicey.
Yeah, Dewalt's going to have to start taking some bases and start getting some AoE down here. He's going to have to start getting some Templar to fight, because I think even if Mihu wanted to march across the map right now with the vultures and tanks he has, he would give Dewalt a hard time, because once he secures some of these high grounds, it is going to be very hard for a Gateway man with dropships just to fight up. Very, very difficult.
Yeah, and I don't think he's also going to have much like ability to like kind of launch attacks into the main base with like poor man recalls, utilizing lots of shuttles. He can't really afford to make those kinds of plays either, so there's no real options from Dewalt but to try and avoid fighting the Terran head on, try to rapidly expand and try and get his macro going. But look at the supplies right now, 160 to 125. Is Dewalt going carriers or something? Like, explain to me how Mihu is exploding this much.
Yeah, his factory count is online now, his 3rd base. Soon to be 4th. He's traded really well. And now he's got a 20 supply lead. I'm imagining he's waiting for this 2-1 to kick in, and then he'll just go. It should be any minute now that it's going to go here.
This is crazy. I mean, the macro is off the chain from Mihu. Dewalt will just become eclipsed by him. Sadly, slowly but surely here. Has a nice contingency of forces with 2 speed shuttles like sharking around this 4th base location, but Mihu wisely took the other 4th base, tucked in the top right corner. Much more difficult for Dewalt to get up in there and pressure that location. So Mihu is just looking so solid right now.
Yeah, Mihu getting that 3rd gas. I mean, he's pushing his advantage. I think once he gets to max, he will just move across the map. And once again, I'm not seeing much later game tech here from Dewalt. No Arbiter, or, you know, barely any Templar. Oh, I guess we're going for a Storm Drop. Here are the Templars.
It's not quite enough damage. Sometimes it's not the first drop that does the damage. You kind of weaken up the SCVs as they drill away, and the storms that come later clear up all the low HP SCVs. But yeah, not quite finding critical infrastructure damage to Mihu. Mihu is actually maxed out right now, and Dewalt only on 180 supply. This is not, it's supposed to be the other way around. This is not looking ideal at all for a Russian Protoss player here. I'm a little bit concerned. We have 4 speed shuttles. Maybe he can catch Mihu off guard if he does a bad move out or unsieges at the wrong time. It is still possible for Dewalt to win here. It's just going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I think he's also doesn't have any upgrades just yet on the armor, so he really wants to hit 2-1. But he's not quite there yet, and we see that Dewalt is flying these 6 shuttles in, but he found Mihu with the little scouting turret getting ready for it.
Yeah.
And Mihu just securing up these bases, making sure he's on 3 gas. I'm expecting a move out any time here. I mean,
You have to think he would move out. He's maxed out. He's got 4 bases production. He looks good. He should probably just attack, but he's looking like he's just splitting the map and taking this base in the bottom right before even thinking. Maybe he's expecting Dewalt to come to him and doesn't really need to. Finally, though, starting to reach out onto the map with these units. He has identified the shuttles as well. This puts Dewalt into a weird situation. He's trying to get up back onto his high ground with his reinforcements. He doesn't necessarily want to fight this army head-on from Mihu if he can help it. Wants to try and buy as much time as possible. Maybe he can blanket enough storms and get enough Zealot bombs onto those tanks to take out this army, but it's going to be so tough.
Yeah, it seems that Mihu, while he's pushing here, is just taking his 5th base, trying to get to that 4th gas. I mean, Mihu's been scanning all of Dewalt's base, and he's not seeing any tech. Right. So for him, it's really no rush. He can wait for 3-2 and just wait to absorb attacks. Dewalt's sitting on, what, 5 bases himself? So Mihu's not too worried right now. There's nothing that's going to bust him unless he takes a really bad engage somewhere and gets his army wiped.
This is a very budget Protoss army. I mean, shuttles are the main utility here, with some hopeful High Templars trying to desperately get some storm blankets going. Maybe they could win a fight or 2, but it's still not going to be ideal with a mainly infantry base Zealot Dragoon.
Here you go, catching him on a bad siege.
I mean, that's pretty good. This is what he needs to do to win. Just catch him on a bad siege and maybe get some blankets of storms. Pretty good storms on the back line of vultures and tanks and on the front, but I don't think this is enough. I feel like there's just too much meat to the army of Mihu for Dewalt to break through here.
Yeah, there was so many units there for Mihu. We saw Dewalt only really get off 2 storms. And you know what? Mihu's still sitting up on supply, wipes that army, and now can kind of continue to move. Dewalt looking to counter this 5th base, but I think Mihu is just going to set up and be able to hold it no problem. Yeah.
I mean, I think like Dewalt's making some of the right moves. It's just he's not caught up with the same curve as Mihu. He's just like firing on many more cylinders. It's just insane, the macro powerhouse that is Mihu currently. I don't feel like he's going to find conservation trades. Tries to snipe some of these High Templars as well, forcing some storms and taking out those critical utility units will make it so much more difficult to win these future fights. It looks a little bit bleak here for our Protoss player. He needs to take some more rapid bases, get some more utility in his army.
Yeah, I mean, we're always so used to seeing Mihu be so aggressive, but this game he's showing, hey, I can play another style and I can kind of sit as well and just play upgrades. Right. And I think that he's recognizing that Dewalt is not going into some crazy tech, so I don't feel like he feels the need he has to move right now, and he's not wrong.
Yeah, I think he's identified that splitting the map is the best course, at least. Pretty good mind drag onto those tanks, as well as the target fires on the other 2. This is looking ideal from Dewalt. If he can be as annoying as possible, slow down some of these bases from Mihu, eventually the Terran will dry up, and if he has secured this quadrant of bases in the northwest, he will technically still be able to win, even though Mihu's been able to secure this base up here. So it's looking okay. Coming in for the big drop in the bottom. Poor man Recall. He does evacuate. So many turrets are here, though, so at least 2 or 3 of these shuttles will go down. As long as he doesn't lose too much down here, that's pretty good for Mihu, but Dewalt suddenly looks like he has a fighting chance in this game.
Yeah, that was a great drop, but he loses all the shuttles and really didn't get any SCVs. He's going to make this base lift off, but I don't know if that's going to be enough with the loss of all these units and shuttles.
I mean, but when the dust has settled, the supplies definitely look a lot more normalized than before. Before, Mihu was actually like looking like he was going to race ahead in Dewalt's supply. Finally, we see somewhat of normalization, and I think these bases in the top left are going to be critical. If Dewalt can get these bases online in the top left and kind of maintain the game state and stop Mihu getting this gas base online in the bottom right, this might be critical.
Yeah. The issue right now is that Mihu now going to be on, what, 5 gas, 6 gas? So you're going to see him really get into this late game.
Right.
How does Dewalt break these positions, even with these drops? Like, he's got to be really, really sharp with where he wants to go and how he wants to do it.
And he's just so slow with his utility, so he's primarily relying on these shuttles to get it done. I don't know if that's going to work forever, but so far this is pretty good. Cleaning up these tanks on the northern flank here. Might be able to come in here and get a bust going onto these tanks in the main expansion up here as well. And a pretty good storm on the SCVs. This is looking more like it, Raz.
This is it. Dewalt finally breaking these positions. I'm shocked, man. I thought that Mihu would just be able to sit here and not move, but Dewalt just coming back into this game, dropping non-stop on these bases. Where is Mihu's supply now? Where is all of his stuff?
I mean, this is looking so good for Dewalt. He's starting to make Mihu look a little bit shaky. I mean, the Mind Drag's not quite as amazing as they could be, but good enough. And denying mining, killing SUVs, trading well. I mean, this is looking ideal. Even though he's allowed this base to get set up in the bottom right, he's now punishing the top right, keeping the pressure on. Great storm from the southern flank, and some Zealots running in. There's not enough vultures here to clean these Zealots up quick enough. They might get a couple of tanks, and they do get a couple of tanks while going down. It's looking pretty ideal for Dewalt. Not necessarily the best case scenario, but considering how bad it could have been for him, and Mihu could just moved across the map and killed him, this is looking way better.
Oh, that Archon just needed another 2 shots.
Yeah.
It's a pairing.
It's a pairing. Yeah, it's a pairing.
Mihu seems very okay here, just continuing to sit, continuing to try to defend, but Dewalt finally taking some really good fights here and actually getting himself back into this game a little bit. You see he's taking the supply lead again. He's got the top left up. Uh-oh, can't run into tanks here.
Yeah, please be careful with your Dragoons, Dewalt. They are kind of like your tank count now. We can't be too wasteful of our units with this close on supplies. Has a lot of Zealots running in. Preemptive D-Matrix from Mihu. This might not be bustable, but there's not that many tanks. Maybe get it done. 2 shuttles dropping Zealots like crazy.
Ooh, huge mines.
This is looking amazing, actually. You get some pretty good mine connections, but maybe you can get some mine connections on the... Okay, not quite getting those mine drags on the right-hand side. And there's a big tank line down here in the expansion, so not going to be able to break these positions. And looking like he's drying up more and more in the supply. Maybe a little bit of desperation from Dewalt and getting punished for it.
Yeah, it seemed like Dewalt was coming back here with these drops. He was hitting the bottom right, top right. He was able to get some, ground with SCV kills, killing tanks. But now it seems like Mihu is starting to secure these areas a little bit stronger, a little more tight. And here we go here with these dropships, but we got Goliaths finally on the map here, so they're not as effective.
Okay, well, and not many SCVs to target with that storm either, so a little bit suboptimal on the timing there. But even if you're playing the wrong keys, just keep playing. Don't really worry about making mistakes. Just keep going to, well, maybe something can happen once you start securing more of these bases. But it is starting to look a tiny bit bleak for our Russian player here. I mean, just look at the supplies, 156 to 129. Mihu's almost going to be on 3 upgrades here in the moment, and not really slowed down enough in his expansion endeavors. So many gases have been secured by Mihu. He's like macroing like an absolute madman right now.
It seems like his money is kicked back in. He's able to use all these factories. He has 4 add-ons. We're making 4 tanks at a time here. Mihu kind of just strangling this game a bit, pulling it together, not letting Dewalt just secure what he wanted to. Because at this point, we're almost at pretty much split map here.
I mean, for a moment, I thought Dewalt was starting to mount a comeback, but I feel like he's just fallen apart, like, short of that comeback potential, unfortunately. This is a really good game, though. This is a great showing from Dewalt in game number 1, but I really do feel like he was on the back foot when he shouldn't have been a few times in this game. Maybe being a little bit too over-eager and playing into Mihu's hands. Mihu not really playing to his usual strengths and adapting to Dewalt's style a bit here.
Yeah, this is my issue with this kind of playstyle. I feel like it really has a shelf life, right? It doesn't transition well into the late game if you can't get a lot done. Dewalt did a great job finally breaking through, but now it's starting to taper off. Like, where does he attack into these held positions?
Right.
Oh no!
How precious. Look at that. 75, boys. What can you do, eh? Anyway, these attacks are still going on in the bottom right. He's getting a couple of these tanks. It's not that bad, honestly, but it's not good enough. It's not enough to come back in the game. And now we see a lot of pressure coming out of Mihu, starting to get on top of his Nexus. Yeah, this is a good storm, but there's nothing there to finish the job, and he will be able to deny money and kill that Nexus. Dewalt trying to get up here onto this high ground to punish this base. If he can somehow get up here, punish this base, kill this SCVs off, kill this CC, kill these units, maybe there's still hope for him, because he is taking a lot of pummeling in the top left.
Yeah, this is actually really good. He's finally breaking it down, but I just look at the top right corner of our screen. 170 to 110. Yeah. Really difficult right now for him.
And also, you don't have the benefit of like fighting from the high ground like you would usually on most maps. You have this low ground main base pit style in that top left, so you can't just like storm from the high ground and like defend relatively easily. It's much more easier for the Terran to attack into these positions. So it looks pretty ideal for Mihu going forward. Some desperation DTs are going to be targeted down as well. It looks almost too good to be true for our Chinese player.
Yeah, this was a very back and forth game. Definitely close. Dewalt played really well to start here, but we see Dewalt's face, and he GG's out. Unhappy with that result, but
onto your style. This guy is an absolute machine. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Going on to Radiant in game number 2, I have to say that with the longer rush distances here, this could be a little bit problematic for Dewalt. He's not able to apply any pressure to Mihu like we saw in that game number 1. Maybe Mihu will get a little bit too crazy, a little bit too quickly, but maybe not. Maybe Dewalt can still find his footing and navigate well into that mid game.
Yeah, and then we see Radiant's our next map, and definitely easy for Terran to kind of secure that third. So we'll see if Mihu's going to play just to kind of get your third and go across the map, or is he going to get aggressive as can be on Radiant? It'll be interesting because Dewalt, if he was looking to bust, Mihu's trying to take a third, he should be able to have some timings where he can actually try to bust through and make it happen. So definitely an interesting map. Mihu can kind of do whatever he wants on this map, right? Like you can take both choices of timing, or you can sit.
I mean, he might even just go for a 12 gas again and not even bother with a CC first or bunker expand just because he's just so confident with his normal timings. We might see a very similar setup from Mihu in the early game where he just goes for that 12 gas, but maybe it's an idea here to go for a bunker expand.
Yeah, I mean, the scary part for Dewalt is the start can't go any better, right? You picked off 4 SCVs, command center. You really started off really, really well, and Mihu's able to come back. So I think if Dewalt can just tune up a little bit from his side, I think that he can find victory in these games. I mean, he's a player with such a high level he can. All right, we're ready for game number 2. Let's jump into Radiant, Dewalt versus Mihu. Right, and spawning in the bottom left, Terran player from China, it's Mihu. And the top left, a man who needs no introduction, it's Dewalt.
So why'd you introduce him then?
Why not? He doesn't need it, but I gave it to him anyway.
Hey, he needs introducing. He's a very valued member here. Yeah, we could not say his name.
Absolutely. So I think the spawns here make it interesting because of the pathing you can take as Terran along the left side here, right to the Protoss main base, or the third. Like I would imagine Dewalt is not going to take his natural third. It might even take that 12 o'clock position or top right because you're really a little too close. It doesn't ever help to expand. I see this pylon from Dewalt, and I'm thinking 12 Nexus is on. That's something.
I mean, I'm thinking that as well. And yeah, look, like Razz towards the Protoss player and attack on this vertical axis and both attack and defend at the same time and make use of the smaller area that is necessary to defend. So this could be problematic for Dewalt going forward, especially not being able to expand at his natural third, which is closer to the Terran. So this could go Mihu's way.
Absolutely. I thought we were going to see a 12 Nexus, but I was wrong. We're going to see this standard kind of 19 Nexus earlier. Well, last game was like 21, but
I thought he would 12 Nexus. I mean, why wouldn't you on Radiant? But I guess he wants to keep his tech timings as crisp as possible and maybe expects Mihu to cut corners on his end of things.
Yeah, it's always 12 Nexus is good, but is a little bit of a risk if he's doing something crazy or he scouts it first and you have problems. So maybe Dewalt was kind of like, whatever, we're good here. I'm just going to play standard, man. I'm confident in my play, which you should be.
Yeah, and Mihu is playing exactly how I thought he would, and just play, just saying, like, just take a gas and just play. You're so confident in your standard game, especially after that game number 1, losing those SCVs and still coming out on top. I can't imagine he wouldn't go for this gas.
Yeah, I think he's going to keep it standard. You won last game. You were behind the start. Why change it up? Just force Dewalt to beat you.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Makes sense. Getting a scalp in the main early on, going to be seeing everything. Sees the rangeless desire of the Protoss player. He could get the range now if he wants to, though. With the SCV there, 2 block might be a little bit more problematic. He might decide to just get the range. But he's not getting it yet. Okay.
Seems like it will be rangeless this time. Mihu watching very carefully going back and forth between the natural and the main, saying, "Are you going to put this down?" He now knows what he's up against. He knows that he's up against Rangeless.
Yeah.
Let's see if he continues marine production and makes a vulture. There is this like weird timing where you can continue marine production, make a vulture, and pull the boys and get up there and just kill the Nexus off.
Yeah, you can kind of treat it like it's a Nexus first play due to how slow the timings of that tech with the range. They can't quite beat back your Marines as early as they would like to with that slightly delayed range, but they do get an economic boon for going for that earlier Nexus. Looks like, though, Mihu playing much more reserve, just going to sit back with the 3 Marines and Vulture and bully back this Dragoon and just play completely standard.
Yeah, I don't think he feels the need to do anything crazy, but he could. If he gets this Dragoon, I think it might trigger something, though. If he were to kill it.
Yeah, I mean, it's certain things happen and a Terran player just can't, like, resist anymore and they want to pull the trigger, you know?
Why not? You're going to take that in the first Dragoon, but we see Dewalt playing very standard, going in 1 gate into a Robo here with range now. Mihu just feeling comfortable, getting his Vulture on the map, going to scout around, see what he can do.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Sense.
I mean, this is probably like way more standard of games than we were getting compared to our last group yesterday. I mean, this is a night and day difference. We're actually seeing some long, drawn out, real games here.
Yeah, we see, I think, Mihu about to add his second factory. Doesn't use a bunker, knowing that there's no pressure here. He decides not to. Oh, 1 Vulture does get picked in the middle of the map there by Dewalt, and there's no bunker, and he doesn't have mines just yet.
Yeah.
Mihu could be in trouble here. Didn't go for the bunker.
And he gets 1 SCV at least. Yeah, this is pretty good. I mean, the pressure is huge, and the tank is going to come down, but already getting a little bit of compensation for his efforts here is Dewalt, and starting to put himself into a comfortable early game position like we had in that game number 1. It's not quite as good, but it's getting there.
Absolutely. I mean, Mihu not making a bunker is a big deal, but got to be careful. There's Dewalt. Can't take too much damage from that tank. Shields are gone. Man, I'm telling you, that kind of stuff, Mihu sees it, and I think it just like tingles in his fingers of, all right, now I'm going to make another tank, and I'm going to go attack.
Yeah, he might be the Hulk, but he's got like Spider-Man reflexes. Definitely be getting those tingling sensations, like quick muscle reactions, and taking full advantage whenever he can. 30 damage with the arc light cannon on that tank is absolutely devastating.
Well
beautiful
done,
block. Yeah, beautiful block. It stops any crisis here from this Vulture getting in and causing shenanigans. Everything looking okay for Dewalt still.
I'm gonna have to kill that egg.
Yeah. Well, I like this from Dewalt.
Very standard here, doing a good job. Mihu, same thing, nothing crazy. We'll see if he decides that he's gonna push out. Mihu, I guess, questioning what's going on, kind of defending. He's like, well, it's like 620, he hasn't sent a probe yet. So is he trying to bust me or something? But
no, does Mihu just go...
won't take that.
Now, does Mihu go straight into free factory here, or do you think he's going to play a little bit more reserved like we saw in that game number 1?
Well, I think he's going to add the factories, but I think he's just going to expand, it seems like, again.
Yeah. Okay.
Shuttle coming out. Well, this time going shuttle and Reaper before the 3rd, so... Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you'd even see the pros players scout with the shuttle before the Reaver's done, but I doubt like that's in Dewalt's play style. As a bit more of a, if you're into that sort of thing.
This shuttle gonna have a hard time getting anything done. I'm sure he'll use it just to contain.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get a lot done. It'll be a sound. Oh, he tries to sneak in because his turret's not quite finished. He finds one tiny hole, wants to try and exploit. Not really. Oh my God.
You can see Dewalt not happy on the player cam. Definitely upset with that. Loses that shuttle and Reaver for pretty much nothing. Now, remember when we said Mihu would just take a 3rd base? I don't know. He loses the shuttle and Reaver. That might now say to him, all right,
yeah, the trigger time.
A lot.
Yeah, it's trigger time. Let's make some factories and kill you, because you're going to be taking your 3rd base right now, and you probably won't be able to keep up with my 5 factory. Okay, this is rough.
All right, well, Dewalt picking off some more Vultures, but definitely, and is adding his gateways, but Mihu now is on the 5 factories in his base. So we'll see if he's going for 5 factory timing or if he's just going to take a CC behind it. But I don't know. He's now killed a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm wondering if he's saying, you know what, it's my time. I'm just going to get after it.
It definitely looks like it might be his time to shine. I'm a little bit hesitant here for our boy Dewalt. I would love to see him go all the way and get a decider match against Mihu, but he might be able to sneak in.
He's gonna see what's going on. So he now knows. So it wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised now if he just gets up to like 8 gateways. Yeah, Citadel down, 8 gateways, make a ton of units. You see what it is. If you crush the first timing, you will win the game. So many tanks from you.
This is such a good scout. It's such a good scout from Dewalt. It might be the only thing that keeps him in this game. Now that he can throw down a few additional gateways slightly ahead of curve, this might just round him off enough to deal with this push nicely now. Who knows? We might be seeing a Dewalt victory. Who knows?
No, I think there's still 100% chance. Now, he's not out of it. Now, especially he's seen it. You see he's going up to 10 gateways here. So he is looking to, oh my goodness. Mihu just on it with these vultures, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost like Sharp, just always active with at least 1 vulture or 2 here and there, probing you for weakness and keeping you a little bit distracted. Makes you feel a bit uneasy if you never quite know when the vultures might come in and harass you. You're a little bit more hesitant to move around the map with your own dragoons.
All right, there we go. Oh, no, don't lose. Good shot. All right, I thought the Reaver was going to walk up and take hit.
Yeah. I mean, any slowdown is great here. Yeah, anything is great. Every time he sieges,
every time he sieges and has to skip, you are able to get some more macro rounds out, right? So even just going back and just pushing away, we see the 20 supply lead by Dewalt. He'll just want to be making pure zealot at this point. Oh no!
Right.
Oh, okay, they're good.
You force like 24 sieges or so, and like eventually that's like a couple of rounds of units you've got to fight that attack with. And if you don't sandbag and suddenly he's on top of your production rally point and you don't have the units to deal with it, you're just flattened. So this is a great effort from Dewalt. Sandbags this push quite significantly. Currently positioned in the center of the board, looking to strike with a few more rounds of units coming out here.
Yeah, I think Dewalt's about to have enough to really crush this. Ooh, and he's picking off so many little things. Couple vultures here, a couple marines there. It all matters. We have a good arc here from Dewalt. I would like to see him not attack into Mihu's siege, but he may have no choice here in a second.
He might be able to mind drag from the western flank, though. He might, if he mind drags from the right in the center, he might be able to do this. Here we go. Oh, the Zealot streaming. If you can get those mines dragged from the left, this could be huge. Pretty good surround on the goods as well. This is looking amazing from Dewalt so far, and the reinforcements from the rally point, helping clean up the rally reinforcements from Mihu on the southern flank, while the Dragoons are still crushing the front as well. There's a few mines laid in desperation, clearing up some of those goons, but it's not enough. Dewalt basically holds and just, has thwarted this attack. Mihu's now on the back foot trying to catch up.
Absolutely. Dewalt's got to be feeling excellent after that because he just wipes the army. Even trading out his, it doesn't matter because Mihu wanted that timing. His 3rd command center is just getting put down to be built. He cleared everything. The tank count is reset. I think that's a major win for Dewalt, and he's going to feel really good. He's going to know Mihu needs to probably sit at this point.
But the thing is that Dewalt needs to make sure he doesn't skimp out on his gateway production. Needs to be like all cylinders firing right now because Mihu is looking like he's gearing up for round 2. Has quite a lot of units still churning out of these factories. His CC hasn't finished yet. Pretty much all of his production capabilities have been on non-stop units, and that still is the case. Gas is all the way down to the floor of his car, and he wants to drive into the 3rd base of Dewalt and see if he can set up a great positional play here at this bridge location before there's enough rounds of units.
Yeah, I was sitting there saying, oh yeah, he'll sit around. Nope, not gonna do it. He's gonna push forward anyway. He can't get to cancel on this 4th base, which is a huge deal. But if Dewalt can kill this army, he's pretty much won the game. If he can get this whole army, it is over because he'll lose all these tanks and everything. He will not be able to just bring it back. He has so many units at home. What are we waiting for?
Ooh, drop from the back. Going to be forcing an unsiege.
Oh, the Reaver goes down, though.
Reaver goes down. This is painful. Dragoons have to walk away. There's so many vultures here. They can screen the Dragoons from getting into good positions to fire. It's a little bit awkward for Dewalt at the present moment. He's going to have to back up, just clear out some mines, see if he can get the top right bases set up maybe. If he can't get this natural third, if he can't contest this bridge location, it's going to be a little bit awkward for Dewalt going forward. He needs to be able to keep the tank count whittled down enough that he can still do frontal engagements and come out on top.
Yeah, we need to get a fourth base, right? Like, that was canceled. We're starting to get it up over here. Like, we need to start expanding here. We can't play 3 base versus 3 base. We got to start exploding all over the map. Take top right corner, take bottom right corner, right? Force the mech to move around. If we just sit here and we play 3 base versus 3 base and don't expand and keep trading, that's going to allow Mihu to get back into the game.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, Raz. He is starting to set up the bases in the top right. If he can get some of these additional quadrants going, this will be huge. Coming in for another big blast. Like, there is some shuttles to dive bomb with Zealots. So he wants to set up these dive bombs way into the natural third location. He's very hopeful that he can bust through here. He has some rallied Zealots that he thinks he can do the job. I think there's just barely too much. Maybe, I don't know. I don't see any tanks too far south. Maybe he can break through here. This is crazy from Dewalt. This is like just barely by the skin of his teeth. I feel like I'm watching a best game. What is this?
Yeah, he is just going for it. He is holding on. He wipes out the tank count. Again, really well done from him. Dewalt's got to be feeling really good at this point, right?
Yeah,
you just killed all the tanks. Mihu's not going to be able to move out for a while.
This is crazy.
The mining from the third base. It was crazy. I was a little nervous with that attack going in there. I was like, uh-oh, if you don't win this, you're pretty much getting Mihu back into the game, but that was a massive win there.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really crippled the economy of the Terran player, but trading off that many units while also getting this fourth base established, maybe there's still hope, a light at the end of the tunnel here for our Protoss player. Mihu's about to become mined out in his main base. Being reset to 2-base economy while getting this fourth online might just be the ticket that he needs to go all the way.
And upgrades extremely behind here. We see just the science facility just going down right now. So Mihu will not be able to get to 2-1, 3-2 anytime soon.
Yeah, that could come into play in a big way if he's not able to get that value in those late game trades. If Dewalt can go the distance, we see vultures pressuring out on the map, getting up in this top right quadrant of the map, taking out so many probes. He got a few probes in transit as well from that third base location. So looking amazing right now is Mihu in his efforts to come back in this game, but still Dewalt kind of undeterred with this fourth base coming online. Has lost a few of these probes, but not looking too shabby. The supplies kind of seem to suggest that Mihu's in a really great position right now, so I'm not sure how he's going to... Oh, the vultures come in! There's only one cannon just finishing up with an upgrade in attack. He has got enough DPS to kill that cannon as well. This is looking okay for Mihu, softening up this position for future raids as well.
Yeah, these vultures are... Oh my goodness, the vultures are going to get the Dragoons too, not just the probes, and that is a massive win there for Mihu. Dewalt having to run back, and Dewalt can't even mine from this base, so he is stuck on 3 base as well with his main about to mine out. Mihu, he sees this base on the left here as well, probably going to get vultures there next. Oh my god, this is just relentless, just never-ending amounts of vultures just all over the map, laying mines everywhere.
I hate to say it, but Mihu is just looking like in a different class today. I think Dewalt's getting a little bit finessed here. Look at that beautiful High Templar snipe sneaking in for some probe kills to boot as well, completely keeping the focus on defending while he still hasn't established the mining at this fourth base during all of this. Mihu looking so stellar, 141 to 109 supply. This is looking more and more Mihu favored as the seconds tick by.
He is not waiting now, son. He's killed so many probes. He knows he's pulled units all over. He's killed Dragoons. He is moving out again here. Yeah. He's definitely seeing a lot of kill potential now. So much blood in the water. He's hungry for it. Starting to shark away around the map with these units staying fluid. There is a shuttle, but 3 turrets with a floating E-bay. You can't really come in here and do too much. You might be able to get a few SCVs, but I don't think it's going to be too hopeful for him. Just like 3. Oh, not too bad on there. Okay, that's pretty okay. That's pretty okay. Hey, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. But now, how do we deal with this push, though? How do we stop this push? I'm really concerned now for Dewalt. He was in a really good spot, but all of a sudden his Nexus is going down. He's just establishing top right again. There are vultures laying in wait. There are literally 8 vultures there. Oh no, pick up those Templar Dewalt. Oh, he's not able to do it. The snipes are incredible. And here's the thing, Zun. He takes this base and he's just gonna walk home. Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's some Dragoons here. Let's fight. No problem.
There is no pressure for Mihu to do anything in this game. He's already done more than enough. He just needs to maintain the game state and slowly take bases. Now that he's denied this base being set, he comes in with some speed shuttles. Beautiful target fire on those high Templars as they come out, though. There's no way he can do anything here. I don't think. Some good storms going to be trying to come out here and break open his vision, but it's not going to be enough. GG finally called 2-0. Lead for the Chinese. Mihu Hulk smashing it right now. I don't think there's much hope going forward if Dewalt can't pick something deep here.
Yeah, I mean, that was insane. Dewalt did everything he had to do in the early to mid game there, really wiping the armies, playing really clean, and then all of a sudden those vultures got on the map, man, and people say, you know, what's it like to play against this high-level Terran? You're looking everywhere. There's just vultures flying all over the place. They're laying mines in your path. They're flying to bases, taking out probes. I mean, literally the vultures were able to get Mihu back into this game and were able to actually get him his victory, right? Because overall, Dewalt was outplaying Mihu to start this match. He stopped the push, made him just hop his siege tanks, got his unit count up, was able to really get after it. And then all of a sudden Mihu's like, all right, no problem. I'm just going to send out all these vultures. I'm going to kill probes. Dewalt was unable to establish a 4th base soon enough, and that really, really hurt him.
I mean, certainly all the chatters that usually type 75 in the chat on streams are going to be feeling so validated right now, Raz.
They should be. I mean, these vultures were just, you saw it. I mean, the one group of vultures killed so many probes. Take out a group of goons, like it was only 4 or 5, but the value you're getting of just killing an entire probe line, 4 dragoons for 12 vultures is insane, man. Insane.
It's nuts. It's nuts. The value was insane. Like, you're trading off so much gas units as well as economy damage for just minerals alone. Ridiculously high exponential trades for Mihu. Somehow managing to creep up on supply no matter what against Dewalt, who usually is a bit of a macro powerhouse. So kind of Mihu outshining him. Dewalt's going to have to dig deep. So deep.
Even that last fight was insanely impressive by Mihu. The Templar are dropping out, and he's sniping them as they're landing.
It's nuts.
And Dewalt thinking, all right, I'm going to crush this army in this spot. And it's like, oh, you got, what, 1 storm off? Because he's so fast. He's able to just be so fast and accurate. He picks the Templar. He sieges up, target fires. Like, that fight was hard at the end there, and Mihu made it look easy. He just ran through it.
There were moments where Dewalt was trying to like force unsieges and then synchronize a pincer maneuver and just wasn't quite syncing up and getting the job done. Whereas whenever Mihu's trying to execute, it seems to go his way. So unfortunately, I feel like Mihu's just more dialed in and maybe a little bit of nerves from Dewalt. I'm not seeing the kind of like fire from him that I'm used to. He needs to dig deep and find it again.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping here that Dewalt isn't frustrated. We saw some frustration in his player camp. Hopefully he is going to look past that. He's a good enough player. He's been in these situations and scenarios where he's played through these rounds. It's back to his map pick. Win the first game and then deal with each one. Right now, everything's the best of one.
It is apocalypse. I mean, this is frustrating for Terran players to get up onto this high ground on this map, and you do have these low ground bases, so maybe Dewalt can exploit that and slow down Mihu's push timings. This might just be what he needs to get the tempo going his way again.
Yeah, and this is a good map for that dropship style because you can continuously drop into the main. So, like, when Terran moves out to take their third, you can do, like, 3, 4, 5 shuttles in the back, drop everything, you know, just force the Terran to move back and forth, sit on the high ground with Reavers. So there are some options here for Dewalt.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if he gets like a good spawn location. If, say, Dewalt's in bottom right and Mihu's in top center, that's actually pretty good for Dewalt. He has a direct path into the main base of the Terran, and his natural expansion is kind of away from you. So a little bit easier to get into the main with those shuttles in that case.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely viable here. So,
yeah.
We'll see what he decides that he wants to play. I mean, he likes the style. He's been playing it. Maybe he'll stick with it, but might not be a bad thing to mix it up here.
Absolutely. I think he needs to be trying to put the pressure on Mihu, not just let him sit back and macro like that. I mean, oh my days, that's so scary. Like, it's like Mihu's like just playing on single player, macroing up as quickly to 200 as possible with 2-1 upgrades. And it's crazy how he's firing on that many cylinders while playing against a caliber of player of Dewalt's ilk. It's absolutely nuts.
Absolutely crazy. You're right. You were not wrong. So if I'm Dewalt here, focus on this game, get it done, get the first win, and then go from there.
All right, I think both players are going to be ready here in just a moment. We're waiting for confirmation from me, who finally got it, guys. Here we go. Oh, let's get into Apocalypse. Oh, bit of a false start there, guys.
All right. Just kidding. Making sure everyone's paying attention.
We just we're good. We got good writers here at the BSL, always subverting expectations. I think they're the same writers that wrote the last couple of seasons of Game of Thrones, Raz.
There it is. Just as good.
Okay, well, we're going to be getting back into the game in just a few moments here. A few technical difficulties along the way. It wouldn't be a live production without some kind of issue, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. It always happens, man. It is what it is. But we're going to be jumping right back into it in a moment.
Players are ready again. We're not on Deja Vu, so we'll be able to see the whole Matrix stuff there's on. But we're on Apocalypse, so we're ready. Getting into game number 3 here. Here we go. Alrighty. And in the top center, one game away from falling into the loser's bracket, it's Dewalt. And in the mid right, our Terran player here who's up 2-0, it's Mihu.
Yeah. Dewalt definitely doesn't want to have to pull into that pit stop prematurely and change all his tires and go through that rigmarole. He'd much rather stay in the race right here, right now, take a game off Mihu, abusing this high ground area outside the natural. Maybe he can go a little bit of reverse sweep, 3-2, and still get the win in the bag and not have to make that pit stop.
Yeah, I think you can't focus on like, oh, I need 3 games in a row. You got to focus on
one game at a time. One lap at a time.
One, yeah. And just one game, do what you got to do, and that's it.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to be thinking about the fact that you have to win 3 games in a row against Mihu.
No.
Keep that out of the back of your mind.
Got to keep your mental strong and say, all right, one game at a time, gonna get it done, and that's it.
Yep.
I'm surprised Dewalt played these 2 3-player maps and didn't do like the old let me take a little gamble, build a pylon, and go scout and try to get a gas deal.
Yeah, no gamble.
Nope, decided against it.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? Do we see anything crazy out of Dewalt to shift things up and switch the tide, or is he gonna more or less try the same shenanigans, just abusing the terrain now on Apocalypse?
I think we're gonna see this. I mean, we had an earlier gas this time, so I wonder if he's gonna go like Zealot first into Zealot into Goon pressure, trying to catch the
Zealot Goon, or just Zealot Goon?
I mean, maybe just Zealot Goon.
Right. Yeah.
And just try to put some high pressure onto Mihu here, and Apocalypse, a good map for that.
Okay.
I'd love to see him real tricky with like a proxy or something, but I know you're like on your last leg, so you don't want to waste it now.
You don't want to do the proxy robo slugging it out with the Reaver trying to break the bunker in the natural expansion. You don't be too crazy, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I was thinking like now that he's scouted bottom left, like you can go build a proxy in the bottom right by Mihu's base.
Oh yeah.
Last game you didn't scout, so like it wouldn't be unusual, and Mihu's paying attention, which I'm sure he is. Like, oh, you didn't scout last game, you didn't scout this game, he wouldn't know the difference. But
yeah, you might be onto something there. I mean, I don't think he would check it. I don't think he would
probably not.
Yeah,
I don't think he would either. Especially because Dewalt hasn't been playing with range, so it's not like odd that he wouldn't have range coming.
Exactly. Like going rangeless would seem usual for him, so it's not too suspicious. That kind of setup would look more or less normal if Dewalt went for that. But no, looks like nothing too crazy coming out of Dewalt. Is getting that range upgrade. he can still cancel it, obviously, and still get the Nexus, so it doesn't necessarily mean he is going to be going for the range.
All right, here's that Zealot. I think we're going to see the Zealot good pressure. I mean, Dewalt did so well with the first Zealot last game, so we're going to see a 23 Nexus here from Dewalt.
Okay. Has the probe coming in here, getting a couple of shots and body block with the probe can be huge.
Beautiful body block.
So good, the body block there. Getting that Marine does keep Mihu on the back foot. You want 3 Marines to fight the Zealot healthily, and not able to do that, but there's not really any further pressure coming in. If this was Zealot good, maybe he could have kept the gas pedal down a little bit more, instead of being a tiny bit more conservative, waiting for this Dragoon to synchronize.
We see Mihu blocking the expansion here. Really well done from him. This will help him catch up on his command center timing by forcing Dewalt to actually kill that eBay, and he's got a lot of HP on that eBay, so Dewalt's going to have to do something.
I like the quick bunker here. He has to really respect this from Dewalt. Even if he is going to be busy trying to deal with this eBay, he needs to respect the possibility that Dewalt goes a little bit aggressive. Finally gets in with the SCV and sees that there's no second gateway or anything too crazy. Sees the third pylon as well. That's always a comfort thing there as a Terran to know there's less likelihood of a proxy pylon like we were talking about earlier.
Mihu's, I think, getting that add-on tells me I think he might get a tank and go for it here with like a push. I think we're going to see tank speed. Yeah, I think he's going to actually try to get some real pressure on now to Dewalt.
Yeah.
Like we saw in that first game with the 2 tank kind of move out.
Now, you never know. Even though this game doesn't look necessarily as good for Dewalt in the early game, sometimes that can make you play harder in StarCraft. Sometimes being ahead can also be a bit of a curse. You kind of like subconsciously play a little bit lazy when you're so far ahead, right? And sometimes people play better from behind. So maybe Dewalt needs a very tight game like this to play his pure A game.
Yeah, that might be the case. We see a ton of vultures out, man. Wow.
Ooh. Okay, this could be scary.
Not much at home.
That's
here
scary. This is scary. Uh-oh, Raz. This could be dangerous.
If he doesn't have a Dragoon popping out, this could be the game, man. If he lays mines by this could be in here.
This is not ideal. This is suboptimal to say the least. He's in the path of the probes, though. Needs to be careful not to stand in the probe path of the drill. Kind of playing with fire is Mihu. He doesn't need to be this risky. He's losing a vulture for it as well. So cocky and pays the price. Why are you standing in the middle drill line there, Mihu? Not getting enough damage done with these vultures as a result.
Yeah, very disappointing from him in terms of the micro there. Like, if he just focuses on those 2 vultures, he pretty much ends the game.
And he just has to like hotkey these SCVs repairing to like keep checking that the bunker's still repairing and it's fine. And then he would have been doing so much more damage to Dewalt. Missed opportunity from Mihu. That was the series in the bag if he just target fired.
Absolutely. Oh, is he gonna get that? Nope.
Not quite. Yeah. Beautiful effort though to go for it, but it would be nice compensation after failing on ending the game right there, right then. But
he's gonna push in here because he knows that there are a bunch of mines behind this, but he's going to take out these 3 Dragoons, and Dewalt's on 2 bases. I don't know if he's cleared the mines in his base. Yeah, now he will, but he's stuck in there. He's got to be careful. Hopefully he knows that there's 2 mines out here, or 4 mines. Okay, he does. Okay, because if he didn't, that would be absolutely tragic. That other Dragoon about to get caught.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't be more aggressive with this vulture snaking over to the left-hand side. Maybe could have caught that probe trying to take the 3rd base. Instead, Dewalt not going to be taking too much pressure from Mihu. This might start to normalize a little bit here. Yeah,
I think we're going to... I think we're going to get into a pretty standard-ish type game now at this point. Right. I don't know what... Look at this. Can he at least get the vulture? He can. Yeah. Right? At least he's going to trade for something.
That's something. A little bit sloppy from Mihu to lose the vulture for free. That didn't necessarily have to do that, but it's still good hunting down that Dragoon.
Yeah. I'm wondering how aggressive Mihu's going to be. I mean, he's putting down his armory now, so I'm assuming he's going to sit a little bit. But he did have the money to drop 2 more factories to go for one of those 4-fact pushes. I mean, he did a lot of damage early to Dewalt between the pull of the probes and killing a couple. I'm surprised he didn't try to go for it more. Dewalt gonna get in here, man. That's good news for him.
Yeah, he's getting in there just before the turret ring has been set up, but you're right. Like, Mihu has shown that he's not like afraid to upset the usual proclivity, and then will be happy to play a more mid-range style and play much more passive if the need arises. So having that flexibility as already as good as you are, and you have that much flexibility, I'm a tiny bit worried for Dewalt. It seems like he's sussed out the style of Dewalt and instead wants to play much more reserved rather than playing into Dewalt's hands.
Yeah, he definitely must know that Dewalt likes this style, and he's deciding, I'm just going to defend in here. Why am I going to go crazy? Dewalt getting an early +1 here, looking to be a little bit more combative, I guess. I think we're going to see him go up to these 6 gates right away and just kind of macro.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I think that would line up nicer to what mid-rangey style Mihu is going for. I think that would give him maybe the best course of action going forward. And he sees with these observers tactically exactly what Mihu's doing. He knows there's no crazy timings, but now we see the 5th factory coming out from Mihu. He'll be able to synchronize his own gateway count with that, like you say, and get at least 6 gateways going up very soon.
Absolutely. This little vulture should be blocked. Shouldn't be able to get much.
Yeah. There is a pocket you can kind of sit and get some damage done by forcing the probes to shuffle to the left here. So the loss of mining time is still nice. But going to avoid disaster and lose too many probes.
Yeah, very close unit count here with the 5 factories already up and the 5th and 6th gateways just going down a little while ago. Makes me a little nervous here for Dewalt. Does not have leg speed, won't have it for about a minute and a half here.
Honestly, you're not wrong. There's no real way of slowing down the tanks. So, yeah, okay, this could be a little bit scary from Dewalt because there's not enough to challenge him taking the 3rd base and taking this high ground more or less for free. This is starting to get a little bit concerning.
I thought we were going to see Mihu continue onto the high ground and siege, so he didn't give it up, but he's giving it up right now.
Okay, he thinks there's more than there is. I think he thinks that there's a lot more Dragoons here.
Yeah, I think that once he gets, I think, some vultures out, I think we're going to see him go for it.
Yeah. He just doesn't want to, like, risk, like, there is a chance that there's some units, like, just waiting in the wings to jump on top of those tanks as he moves out. So he wants to be absolutely sure, have some vultures to screen first and check what's what.
Yeah, I think Mihu happy taking his 3rd. Dewalt playing a much more standard style here and is just going to take his 4th right now and try to macro up, which I think is fine, right? There's no reason to get crazy. You do contain the high ground. If you get high ground with Storm, you can sit here and just continue to push back. Mihu scanning to see how many gateways. He's probably thinking, all right, let me see what your gateway count is. If it's 6 or below, I'm going to get up and go. If it's not, maybe I'll just sit here and take the 3rd and take the gas and be fine.
The Hulk's just reaching across and squeezing his muscle fibers and seeing how dense they are. Has he been working out at the gym enough? Can he just come in and smash him right here, right now? Or does he need to, you know, power up his Hulk smash?
Yeah, I think he's powering it up.
He definitely looks like he's focusing on more of a flash, like, you know, race ahead towards 3-3 as quickly as possible kind of style, even though he has got these factories online. This is the beautiful way of playing this build, is you don't have to attack. You can just race up to 7 factories, get your 3rd base online, and then use those 7 factories to get your 4th. And that might be a beautiful way of executing this build for Mihu and play much more reserved, but that does give a little bit more breathing room for Dewalt to play greedy here.
I want to see some late game tech from Dewalt. I really think it's lacking, and that's part of what's going on here. We have no Arbiter, right? I don't see any Templar out just yet.
Almost 0 utility.
Yeah, it's looking like he wants to... Ooh, can he catch some of these tanks here? It's looking like he wants to try to bust again, and I just think that's a really bad idea into this. I know he's up 40 supply. Mihu's set up extremely well. He's floating the barracks, floating the eBay. You know, I don't know if this is going to be bustable. And like we were saying before, if you just go into late game with just Gateway Man, you're in trouble. And here comes Dewalt. He's going to go for it. He is up 40 supply.
I mean, Best can do it. I wonder if Dewalt can too. He's going to have Best-like execution to crack open this Terran position. It doesn't look breakable, but we can say the same thing about Best games. He can still manage to find the execution to bowl over these positions. So somehow maybe Dewalt can get the job done, though. Vultures going out onto the northern flank.
Okay, this is his moment. Vultures are out.
The Vultures are out of position. Maybe he pulls the trigger. He sees the opportunity, races down the lower ramp. He's a tighter choke to go down, but the Vultures aren't in position. The Zealot's getting a little bit stuck here, but a Mind Drag might be what he needs. Beautiful storms coming out on these rallied units. Maybe he can get into the natural expansion of the Terran there. Mine, I think, of catching one of those High Templars, not really a greatest of trades. Has dried up in most of his storm potential, but does technically get into the natural expansion and expose some of the Terran here.
Yeah, I was questioning going down that small ramp, but it seems like it's working out a bit.
Yeah, he's to avoid the main engagement.
He did wipe out some SCVs, but I don't know how many tanks we actually killed there.
Not enough. I mean, he technically is looking good on paper. 120 is applied to 90. He killed a lot of SCVs, though, so there's still most of that supply is in the army. There's so many tanks still left alive. Maybe Mihu can get a counter push going.
Yeah, and Mihu's taking his 4th base and just kind of chilling while Dewalt's taking his 5th. I think that's fantastic, but I don't know if we killed enough of tanks to actually say that was worth it.
Right.
I think we traded a lot of vultures out for that army. I see why he went down the smaller ramp, but I was wondering if he was just going to go for it for real. Like,
yeah.
To me, that was kind of a half measure.
Oh yeah, it was a little bit strange from Dewalt, but kind of crazy that he had the confidence to go for plays like that. Shows that he's not afraid, even though he's 2-0 down here. Maybe that's just the fire that he needs in his belly to see his way through these games and this uphill battle against me. Who maybe I'm kind of hopeful for him. He has got this base online in the bottom left quadrant, so there's another rally point he can start to set up by making some gateways down there. Maybe he can drag this game out and go all the way. Mihu, though, starting to encroach on the center of the board now. He's not really respecting Dewalt quite as much. Dewalt kind of sharking around with his infantry. He's looking a little bit skimpy without the utility support of some shuttles and High Templars. Just pure Zealot Dragoon won't be enough to outmuscle Mihu if he's positioned correctly.
Going for it.
Ooh, he's going to run in here. This might be enough to do it, but I don't think so. I think the terrain, the angle is just way too good for the Terran here.
The targeting of the vultures and the tanks is incredible for Mihu. Those tanks barely splashed on each other at all. He had the vultures just sitting back, taking out the zealots, and this is where the game becomes hard on this map, PvT. Once Terran takes control of the center, how do you move around the map as Protoss? How do you do it?
Yeah.
It's so difficult. We have the Arbiter out on the, or not out, but on the way at least, so we can start to get recalls to go. But we're going to use these smaller chokes on the top and the bottom to move around, which is going to be quite difficult. Dewalt looking like he wants to move in here.
Yeah, I mean, he's going for the counterattack because if he can get up to this base in the top right pocket, the units are kind of out of position. It is still just mostly Zealot Goon, but maybe if he can buy enough time, Sandberg back the units on this tight little ramp while the Dragoons get in here, kill some SCVs, maybe, I don't know if he can kill the CC, that'd be huge, but I don't think he's going to be able to get the CC. I think eventually the units will come in and clean this up. I'm not sure if this is enough. He is kind of keeping Mihu on the back foot while he's taking additional bases. We have got some Stargates being built now. Maybe get into Arbiter Tech will be enough utility to kind of even out the kind of uneven trades we've been seeing previously. Yeah, this could be the ticket to win the game. If he can keep the pressure on here and get Arbiters out.
Oh, sniping that
Templar.
I think once again, I'm not sure that attack was going to be in favor of Dewalt there. He did kill some SCVs. He did cause a lift. But Mihu still powering up, sitting on 4 bases, is very okay with that right now. He controls the middle of the map. Dewalt's going to try to break it here.
He's got more than enough gas to combat this Protoss player. It'd be a little bit weird if he was 3 base versus 5. You can't really handle that as Terran, but once you got your 4th base online, you're kind of sitting pretty. He will eventually mine out on this main and natural in a couple of minutes here, but with these 2 bases online, that's all you really need to keep the juice going for the Terran infrastructure. 2 bases can keep you in the TVP and allow you to keep pushing and establish yourself, but maybe start to punish this Protoss player who has started to explode onto this map, has got these 2 bases starting to set up in this bottom left quadrant. Maybe with this extra rally point afforded to him, he can leverage a significant threat utilizing these arbiters. Maybe, just maybe he can make it work.
He's going to need to get, oh my goodness, Mihu getting these vultures in really good positions again to try to just take out these zealots.
I mean,
taking out a lot of units. You're trading out 75 for 100 here, so these are wins for Mihu.
Big wins.
But maybe a recall in the top base would be what's going on. Dewalt moving up this small choke, trying to get to the high ground to fight down. Maybe he gets some good storms. I think we're just going into the blender here. We're going to see some Dragoon soup.
That was a kill box that he was stepping into. I wasn't too hopeful about that at all. I'm glad he's starting to run with most of those units. But look at Mihu, hot on his heels, going to be clearing up the majority on those units on the escape vector. Not looking ideal for our Russian Protoss. I'm starting to get a little bit worried for him. He might have to pull into that pit stop real soon.
Yeah, I think Mihu's is playing a very impressive, just kind of split map, hanging out style, right? He doesn't need to get too crazy. We see him moving. Dewalt's screen is looking at the 12 o'clock base here. I think he's going for maybe going for that recall. Yes, he is. This might be what he needs. Really good recall while Mihu's army's in the bottom. Gonna take out this fourth base, saves the Arbiter. Really well done here from Dewalt. But now Mihu is moving to the bottom left where Dewalt's new fresh mining bases are. But that's a really bad siege there for Mihu. If he can get a storm on those tanks, he might be able to wipe it.
Yeah, the CC will live because there's only a Zealot base.
Storm, man! Storm!
Storm, please!
Oh my God!
Wow, what are you doing? He's not paying attention. He's just falling apart right now. He's trying to micro on so many fronts. There's so much action happening all over the map. It's absolute madness here, but it looks like Mihu might be closing out this first series with a 3-0 victory. Finally seeing some Psionic Storm in this southwest quadrant of the map, but it's just too little too late. Some panic DTs also going to be coming out. Look at Mihu though. He's on top of everything. He will not be missing scans.
Mihu just playing extremely impressive here. It's really hard even for Dewalt right now to reinforce this bottom left with just on the gateways he has, because all these units have to run through this mid here where it's all set up.
Wow, this is so
Dewalt biting his lip. I think he knows this is becoming very difficult for him. He's doing a good job trading out here Zealots and tanks, but it looks like that portion of the bottom left is continuing to push through.
As we progress further into this game, it looks like a more and more untenable position though, Raz.
I don't know, we have 20 supply up here. Dewalt getting Zealots and DTs on top of these tanks. If he can hold this bottom left, he's in pretty good shape, because Mihu will be mining out of his main and natural, and it'll be 3-4 base mining versus 2, but Mihu's army's massive. His upgrades are probably close. Oh yeah, hero DTs.
Yeah,
Let's go DTs.
Right, please don't scan. Please don't scan. He's not got enough energy. He's distracted, and they managed to kill some of these tanks. It's huge, but he is so far doing a pretty good job of scanning. It is a great idea though to go for these DTs. Maybe he's not paying attention. Maybe he's not got enough scan. Another recall coming out. This time it's much more Dragoon heavy, so he has potential to kill this CC as well as cause economic damage. Might be much more success than that, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. He's not quite hanging on. He has got some DTs, but there is a science vessel. Didn't pick that up as well, so I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Did status 2 of those tanks, but more and more units are trickling in. This is looking dire.
Walt does have a massive supply lead right now, though, so he does have a ton of units coming.
He killed the economy.
He did. He killed the top right base, so he's still in it. He's battling back really well. If he can somehow save this base, if he can get his units down there, just hold on to it, I think he can win just based upon money here. We just see Mihu is finally taking the bottom right corner base, but Dewalt is holding on here.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, Mihu about to win this battle. Maybe not. Zealot's coming in here.
I think he's getting... Are we seeing a comeback? This is crazy, Raz. He's barely hanging on by his teeth in the southwest, though. Some trickle of units stomping the attack in its tracks. Not quite finishing the job, though. He's starting to kill some of these gateways critically. But on the northern side, things are looking a lot more stellar for Dewalt as he's raining down onto these tank positions that aren't quite fortified and getting more and more additional value for his efforts. So much value has been made on this northern attack here, but unfortunately he has lost a lot of his gateways in this bottom left. He looks like he might start to take some probe losses as well, but he might be starting to mount a comeback here, as he might be able to do this.
He's holding on to this base. This is crazy. He's holding on.
Oh my
he can
god.
kill this siege. Oh, he just needs to not lose all these probes.
Those tanks
He
are
has
so
a
low.
huge supply lead. He's clearing the middle right now.
Okay, okay.
Dewalt may be able to do it. Mihu is pretty much done mining here. There's no more bases that are mining for Mihu. I think top right is mining. His third is mining a little bit. He's cleared the bottom left.
Oh, Jesus.
If he can clear bottom right base, I think Dewalt has done it.
If he doesn't micro these vultures, he's looking so good right now. Oh, and the probe might block. Okay, oh, he's gonna lose some probes, I guess.
He's still mining from mid left. Mihu is not mining other than very slowly from that mid right base.
Oh my god, has he done it? I think he might have done it. Oh my god, Raz, this is crazy. This would be the comeback of the century. If he somehow goes on a 3-game winning streak from here, I'm gonna go nuts.
I think that he's got a good chance, man, to take care of business here. Because Mihu has almost no units. Is about to fight with 3 tanks versus an Arbiter and a ton of units. We have a good stasis there. If he can wipe these units, wipe bottom right, Dewalt will have done it. He will have taken this game.
Speechless. This is really wild stuff from Dewalt. So impressive. Currently sitting healthy
Here
on
comes the
150,
recall
100.
for
Another recall 6.
He's going in. He's going to kill this base. SCB is just transferring. There it goes.
He's doing it, Rez. This is crazy. This is absolutely bonkers that we're seeing this comeback from Dewalt here, looking like he's unstoppable. 160 supply to 100. Mihu desperately trying to come down into his bottom left quadrant. 3 siege tanks sieging up. I don't think there's enough here to squash Dewalt. Dewalt coming out like an absolute hero right now. How can you not cheer for this guy?
He is doing an amazing job right now. He's about to clean up this army. Mihu will have no army left. Bases are down. It looks like Dewalt is going to take game number 3 here unless something crazy happens. He's doubling the supply of Mihu and pushing through here.
I've never been so happy about being wrong, about thinking that the game was over. Like, this is amazing from Dewalt. And this might be frustrating enough for Mihu that maybe that, you know, Dewalt can find his legs now. Because if Dewalt gets confidence from this, he might go on a bit of a rampage. I think Mihu's frustrated. I think he knows he let that slip through his fingers.
Yes, Mihu's player camp definitely looking upset here, giving that game away because he was in a... right, welcome back. What a series so far. Mihu in the lead right now, 2-1, but Dewalt making a serious comeback and taking it to Mihu and getting a game in his side. Hey,
Yeah.
he's got to feel good now, Zun, right? Like, that's your
Oh,
job
yeah.
right there. I won a game. I got it done. I can do it. Now let's try to do it again.
I mean, this feels like such more of a winnable series now after getting that momentum shift. Okay, we kind of like got away from just being 3-0'd and stomped, completely whitewashed out of the game, and now we frustrate Mihu a little bit. He's got to be feeling like that game slipped through his fingers because it did seem like he had it on lock, and somehow Dewalt managed to kind of like out shenanigan him with those like multiple flank attacks and maneuvers in that northeast flank.
Absolutely. I mean, he pulled them all over the map, and he was able to non-stop macro out of those bottom gateways, which why that gateway farm is so important, because he's able to just continually produce. Because if he would have lost bottom left, there would have been a real issue for Dewalt.
Well, yeah,
he might not have been able to hold on.
Yeah, because then he can just commit all of his forces to one location, not have to keep splitting his army top and bottom like that, and then he can't run circles around Mihu. So he had enough of a chaos ladder to climb, though. Really impressive stuff from Dewalt. I'm so looking forward to the rest of this series. Who knows what's going to happen?
All right, our players are ready for game number 4. Here we go. We're going to be on Pantheon, Dewalt versus Mihu. Right, spawning in the top left, our blue Terran, it's Mihu. And in the bottom left, just made a great comeback, it's Dewalt.
I'm just gonna say it now. Like, one of these guys better get their ass into SSL one day.
It would be awesome to see. Would be awesome to see. All right, Pantheon. If there's a map to 12 Nexus on, it's this map. They are giant map. We have the abilities to do it. I would say let's go for it. Not sure Dewalt's going to mix it in.
Honestly, though, I mean, there's some options. With this vertical spawn, we have a similar repeat of the issues we had on the other map just a moment ago. Mihu can take this 9 o'clock base while assaulting on the vertical axis and attack and defend, and gives more options to Mihu in the mid game here.
Yeah, absolutely. He can push and expand at the same time, which is always preferable for Terran, right? Like, you want to be able to expand the way you're moving. Dewalt's going to have to probably expand horizontally into that 6 o'clock and then to the bottom right. Because while the middle of this map is so open, the positions allow for Mihu to find more of a choke as he pushes.
Absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see what he decides here.
Ooh, okay. I'm curious, are we going to see a bunker expand from Mihu finally, or are we just going to see the 12 gas because he's so confident and sure of himself?
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen any gasless.
There it is.
Usually you would put your barracks outside your base for gasless, so...
Right. I mean, I can't fault him, honestly, just going 12 gas every game. It's so standard, and, like, yeah, you're not really losing out on much. I guess you can't punish 12 Nexus quite as easily and a few other things like that, but it's so mid-range and standard. I can't fault it when you're so confident as you are, as Mihu is of himself and his skill. Yeah,
I mean, gas is pretty standard now, so I'm surprised we haven't seen it mixed in. It definitely is a strong build here. But Mihu, like you're saying, must feel confident. He wants to just play his normal style. He doesn't want to really press his result or worry about like something cheesy happening, so he's just going to play super standard.
I mean, he's shown that he's more than comfortable being flexible in the mid game. He just really wants to get there in this very like straight up way, and I can't necessarily fault him for that. It seemed to have worked out pretty good for him thus far.
Yeah, no reason for him to do anything extra crazy. Just play standard. Dewalt doing his normal thing here that he's been trying to do. He's just going to take a 19.
The 17.
Like a 17.
It's very early. That's super early Nexus, yeah.
So Nexus before the go.
It's about as early as you can get without just going for a Nexus first, right? It's like a very safe Nexus first.
Yeah, this is one of those where he's just, I'm going to put it down as fast, but I'm not going to commit to it all the pressure.
Yeah.
I don't got to worry about being all in or a BBS or something wild happening to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad, but I guess he is a little bit caution. He wants to exercise a little bit of caution against Mihu. Mihu could, if he wanted to, do something a little bit crazy of his own. It could be a strong FD push, could be a 2-factory, but Dewalt should have figured out by now that Mihu's not going to do anything crazy and that he's just going to play straight up into the mid game each time. So Dewalt should be thinking, how can I metagame that?
Well, Mihu here has a variation, right? We've always seen the Vulture. Now we're seeing an add-on right away. I'm wondering if this is going to be some sort of tank push, if he's going to try to get 3 tanks immediately. Because he's not building the bunker, because he's not worried about it. There's no ranged goons here. It's only 1. He doesn't need it. He's got 3 Marines. That'll hold.
Yeah.
You see them. Here we go. And the Marine production has continued.
Yeah, he's going to do the strong FD push, and it might punish Dewalt on just a singular gateway here. If he's not microing, he's losing a lot of his shields for free. Did he actually see the CC there? Please tell me he at least saw the CC for that check.
I don't know, but he is going with the robotics anyway, and I think this is going to cause some possible problems here, because we don't have range just done yet. It should be done by the time he gets down here, but we only have 1 gateway production versus 1 factory,
right.
And are we bringing the boys?
He's bringing some of the boys, yeah. It looks. Oh, okay, no.
Okay.
No,
All right, we're just transferring. I was like, wow, this is crazy. If we decided we're going to bring the boys too.
Yeah, shield battery coming up. He's really respecting just how deadly this push can be. Trying to get rid of this SCV as well, so there's no hope of building a bunker or anything like that. But doing a pretty good job of zoning back these Dragoons. Finally, the probes coming off the line, gonna ward away those units and try and get this shield battery online so we can start getting some good trades. But look at this focus fire with that tank, getting that Dragoon dangerously low. Just 1 hit on that Dragoon. Now doesn't get the repair from the shield though. The Dragoon was body blocking it. Unfortunately for him, now he lost his Dragoon. Now this is a lot of damage to sustain. We'll get a couple of probe kills as well for that Vulture, and another Vulture comes in to start laying down mines. This is getting a little bit dangerous.
It is definitely dangerous. He's just using these Vultures to allow the tank to continue to fire away. He does have 3 gateways up, but no observer just yet.
Yeah.
And Mihu just ranging out these Dragoons. He knows the shield battery must be done here. Oh, can he get the tank? Yes. Oh, massive.
Oh, that's such a good hit. That's such a good tank. Okay, he's running his probes. He knows if he doesn't take any probe losses, it's actually not too bad. Okay, it's not too ideal, but with the tank snipe, this is much more playable for Dewalt going forward. That's got to be a sigh of relief after sniping that.
Yeah, now he knows he can kind of just chill out. He just got to get observer up, and then he's fine here. Didn't lose too many probes. We see the... Oh, my... All right, we got to be careful here. Don't be... What are we doing? We know they're there, Dewalt. Don't walk into them now. We've done all this micro. We've done what we had to do. Do not run into it, please.
Can you imagine? Imagine the facial expression if he just lost 2 Dragoons for free right now. Oh my gosh! Please don't do that. Please don't forget this mines right there.
To these mines, I would fry.
Just the observer. Okay. Oh, the probe will get sniped. Oh, look at this shield repair! Oh, the shield repair is clutch.
Wow, Dewalt, Mihu pulling out all the stops here, getting crazy, man.
I think Dewalt's feeling a little bit cheeky after that. Yeah, I think he's feeling good after that. That's finally now he's getting a little bit into his stride in this. He's just won a game. He's executing. Oh, the Vulture slips in. Has some goons coming up from the rally round, luckily, though, so not going to be too much of an issue. The probe. Okay. Oh, I'm so worried for
living dangerous, man.
Yeah, on the edge, right?
Living dangerously.
Yeah, in the danger zone.
I think Dewalt's also living in that zone, expanding towards Mihu.
Yeah. He doesn't feel threatened.
I'm not feeling the love there but that move. That makes me nervous. That he is expanding that way, because I think that's going to be Mihu's pushing path. Right. So.
Well, it does kind of force him to have to sandbag the push and to engage frontally with the army when you don't necessarily want to. That might come back to bite him later on.
Yeah, we're going to see here. We see Mihu going up to this 5 factory at the armory again. So very similar style here from him. Ooh.
Right. Yeah.
Ran into that mine.
Yeah, 1 random goon has gone down to a mine. That's about acceptable as it gets. So any more, though, and it will be a little bit too unnecessary.
Yeah, we see Dewalt just amping up the gateway count, trying to figure out what is Mihu up to here. Is he going to do some sort of timing push again or not?
It's 5 factory. He's going to definitely go for that. And honestly, no quick Reaver from Dewalt. So he does instead going to have to rely on mostly on the infantry of those Dragoons. We'll eventually have a Reaver to help slow down. It's going to be so important that he sandbags this push on this vertical axis, especially now that he's taken this middle only.
Yeah, I think he's expecting this. I think he's like, all right, I know you're going to want to move across this area here. It's a very hard to engage pathway. Once the Terran gets tanks on top of the high ground especially, it's very difficult. He's probably going to need a drop ship so we can get there. All right, here we go. The push has begun here from Mihu.
Yep. I mean, he's already going to launch he's going to get a lot of ground for free because the Reaver's just not going to show up for quite some time. So all the way down to this cross section and looking like he's not going to slow down. Has a couple of SCVs, eventually can start to repair and build turrets. And he's going to abandon this position, it looks like, at least for the time being. Full evacuation. Going to have to be taking 6 o'clock and we'll be having to maybe sack this Nexus.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to sacrifice his Nexus unless we can... Oh, this is a good little counter here for Dewalt. We're making it so he can't just reinforce easily. He's going to have to get some units. But losing this Nexus...
it's a little dicey, right? Losing this for free. I mean, you get the probes out, so it's not so bad, but having to wait for a counter. Yeah, I mean, the counter has to do something. There's only 1 tank here. Maybe. Okay,
yeah,
let's do tanks.
I think he can do it. I think he can break it here.
I think he can.
Oh, he's moving out with the tanks! He's moving out with the tanks! This is huge, Raz! He's going to be able to get at least one of them. The other one's softened up. A few mines are in position, but Observer there to spot that gets the snipe, but now the tanks coming from behind. Can he get in and do the damage? Beautiful mines are being laid in the wake of those Dragoons, so they can't get in and do any damage. Have to tuck tail and run. I don't know. I'm a little bit hesitant to say that Dewalt's still okay. This could go crazy for him any moment now. Mihu might feel so much confidence to surge forward and attack him, but Dewalt has this force out on the map. Maybe Mihu will be a little bit cautious, but it doesn't look like that. It looks like he's just full steam ahead.
Yeah, it seems like he's just going to go for it here. He knows his goons are on the top of the map. Dewalt going to have to counter again, but I think we're just going to see siege and that's it.
I mean, he's got a counterattack going on. He's going to catch this tank, but oh, look at the goons are bugged out. The goons are bugged out. Okay, he finally realizes, that could have been a little bit dicey. How can you do this?
Moving forward. It's crazy these vultures don't have speed.
That's such a huge mine hit. So many goons going down. This is getting crazy. He has the shield battery, but it's not going to be enough to deal with this kind of contain. And now his wall will act against him. He can't even get his units out. Has a Reaver desperately trying to land and deal that. Going to be sniped really easily by Mihu. That's going to be GG.
There's the GG.
Wow.
I mean, I don't even think we got speed on our vultures. Solid, extremely good player.
I mean, the amount of games I've seen players where it looks like they're going to beat Bonif, and even though he's behind on supply, he's got hardly any units, he still somehow manages to make it work. He's so good at playing in like weird situations. And if you're not, I mean, if you're like a car that's trying to go off-road in the jungle, you're going to be completely like flatlined. Whereas, you know, Bonif, he's like a 4x4. He's comfortable going off-road.
Yeah, and he, no matter what, you know, the Reaper comes, but he still gets a lot of damage done.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit weary for Dandy going forward, but he's certainly a pretty respectable Terran player that is going to hold his own and has a chance at going all the way in the matchup against Bonif. But my money would be on Bonif here going forward.
Yeah, I think Bonif, like I said before, is a clear favorite, and I think that his PBT is extremely good. I mean, he is someone who, when he ladders, he gets really high up there and plays games with professional gamers, and he, you know, has some close series. So
yeah,
I think he'll be really strong.
I mean, but that would be really exciting because then we get to see Mihu versus Bonif in the semifinals, and yeah, that could be super exciting, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely going to be amazing to see those two play if Bonif can get it done here. All right, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to get into our second series here. So don't go anywhere. We're about to have another clash of two titans here between Bonif and Dandy. We'll be right back.